IDP Hunter! What's going on, guys? It's me, the real IDP Hunter over at Twitter. You know, I'm the top 3 ranker on Fantasy Pros last season, top 4 the 2 years before. What I wanted to talk about tonight, everybody knows the top players. Everyone's doing a top 5. Everybody's doing the first couple rounds of the draft. But what they're not talking to you about is those late round guys, those 4th, 5th, 6th rounders that if they get the right position, that they're going to pop for IDP. We all know the blue chip players, but what do you do in a draft when those players are taken? My guest tonight is Mase Riney, Cali King 49er 17. We all know him very well. How you doing, Mase?
What's going on, Steve? Thanks for having me, bro.
Well, thanks for coming on. I know you're a busy guy. You're writing over at USA Today. You just wrote your first article over at Fantasy and Frames. Tell the audience what you wrote. I haven't looked at it yet myself.
Yeah, it's a 2026 rookie IDP draft because IDP comes first no matter what, right? It's about 65% of your TV when you're watching football. But I'm a sicko like you, brother, so they asked me for 2 rounds. I gave them 5. Yeah, so the first 2 rounds, kind of done like an ESPN, a Schrager mock, where, you know, I gave a little bit of info, what I thought about the prospect. No team fits, obviously, yet. Everything is just kind of based on player talent right now. Landing spot does dictate a lot, though, so I'll be doing a post-draft analysis to compare my pre-draft with my post-NFL draft, so looking forward to that.
Right. I'm looking forward to reading your article. So this is going to be right up your alley. We're just going to cut right to it. We're going to talk about not NFL drafts, but IDP leagues, specifically combo leagues or combined leagues, whatever your friends call it. I call it combo league. I've just been playing so long. Let's talk about a basic standard 12-team superflex tight end premium. Those seem to be the standard. Those are the ones that I want to play in. This year, Mase, people are talking about they hate this draft. They hate this draft. They're trading their picks for next year. But if you play in a combo league, right, this is a loaded draft class, is it not?
No, yeah, I definitely feel that way. Everyone's looking for that Konami code quarterback. There's not really a clear cut and dry of that. And even with the QB1, Kirk Cousins is going to Vegas, so it's not even a lock that the QB1's even going to be playing this year. So you're going to have to wait an extra season even to get value on that. So obviously we know running back value is king there, so they're going to be going up top. But the top of the IDP class, aside from 1 or 2 names at their respective position groups, there's a lot of players that, depending on scheme or rotation, that could be a lot more valuable than other players immediately. So definitely spicy, something to watch there.
2 talking points you just brought out of me. You just brought out and illustrated my point completely. I want to talk about those players that can land just right and they're going to hit. I want to talk about those guys, but I can't do it if the audience doesn't know the first 3-4 rounds. I can't do it. So just to give a little tutorial, I'm going to go over what we've seen this season and maybe ask you a couple questions, pick your brain. Only be a minute or 2 here, but the first round of drafts, a 12-team super flex, we're just saying basic 1, 2, 3 scoring we play in tight end premium. You're going to see the first pick, Love. Everybody's doing that. I don't think there's no chalk. I don't think that's going to change much. It depends what you guys think about Mendoza. QB Mendoza, he was 1.2 earlier in the year. News of Kirk Cousins may have scared that off a little bit. I'm seeing him go 1.4. But for the sake of this conversation, I left him 1.2. When you're at the 1.3 and the 1.5, you got to make a decision. Which wide receiver 1 do you want to land on this class? Most people are saying it's Tate. Some people are saying it's Lemon. There's a couple psychopaths out there like me. I like Tyson. For the sake of this draft, I got it. Love, Mendoza, Tate, Lemon, Tyson. I said it's a tight end premium, so you got to have a conversation about Sadiq and Stowers, right? I put Sadiq 1.6. I feel like that's chalk. Followed by the Concepcion 1.7, the Cooper 1.8, the Boston 1.9. That is the great run. I think that's going to be your top 9 first-round, Mase. I'm going to add the second tight end, Stowers, because it's a tight end premium. I see people doing that. Now, my question to you, Mase, when they get to 1.11, they start to panic because from 1.11, 1.12, all the way to 2.4, 2.5, there's 6, 7 guys that everybody has it different. So for your tastes, I know what I did on this draft. And for those on Spotify and iHeartRadio, welcome in. Tune in our YouTube. I got a mock board pulled up, just stuff we've been doing this offseason. But Mase, my question to you is 1.11, 2.5, it's kind of a twilight zone, dead zone space. You can probably cheat up and take your favorite IDP, take your my favorite Martian right there, take a guy. Hell, there might even be two guys in there, and then you can get those players later on. Or is that too spicy? Are you not doing that?
Well, obviously the draft board dictates everything. And based on this draft board, I like the way that you got it panned out because you rank in tiers. Obviously, you're an elite ranker. And the first round is pretty much done out in tiers, I feel like, with more specifically with the wide receiver group. So after that, I don't know, the running backs, they really drop off this year from the 101 to like everyone else. So if you want to throw a dart on that in the late first round, go ahead. That's fine. But if you are in a balanced, true position IDP league, then I feel like probably around the 110, probably you start thinking about IDP guys, linebackers, those green dot guys, or maybe if you have a favorite, pick your flavor at the edge position, go ahead and take a guy there. I'm all about the spice, man. Throw some flavor on, please.
Yeah, there's 3 moves I'm doing this year because most people are trading out. Well, if you're trading out, I'm buying in, especially these IDP leagues, which I play in. So if you guys want to, my first move would be go ahead if you want to get a Sony Styles or a Reese there, depending on your scoring format. Reese is going to probably be multi-positional. We know this. Styles is your true linebacker, building up to be a generational talent. So I have Styles first. I know Mase has him. Has it the other way around. Styles, Reese, Reese, Styles. Tomato, that's what I think the picks are going to look like. Moving on, though, when you get to that early 2.2 round, there's 3 running backs that people are arguing are the RB2 of this draft class, like Mase just said. I can't call it either, but most people are saying Price, Emmett Johnson, or Coleman. Those are their top picks. Those are their guys right there. So I don't know how it's going to go in your draft, but just for the sake of this argument, I put them all 2.1, 2.3. Mase, I wanted to get them off the board. I just wanted to get them off the board.
Really quick, my RB2 is Black out of OU. So, there's a lot of variety, I feel like. I was doing a mock earlier, took him in the second round. And that is kind of spicy, but yeah.
I did 2.4. I put Bernard there because you see him going in regular leagues in the first, second, third. He's all over the place, but I can see that as a good spot. 2.5, I'm not saying everybody's going to take the top defensive back in this draft class, but it feels like the price you're going to have to pay if you're going to want a Caleb Downs type, a generational talent. Me personally, I'm not doing it. There's so many players in back of him, there's the Thienemans, the McNeils. We have the AJ Halseys. Heck, you got the Wheatleys. There's so much players I can take in there. I wouldn't take a defensive back there, huh? How about you, Mase?
So every other year, dude, I'm with you. I am like, no, but I don't know, man. The 110, 111, dude, if IDP goes a little bit early, I'll say at least 201. If Downs is on the board and there's someone that's up there that's maybe, kind of shuffling, I don't know what I'm going to do with this pick. I don't know a lot of the offensive players because all the big guys are gone. I'm trying to slide in there, and I'm going to get Downs because I feel like Downs is one of those generational S-type DBs where they're going to find a spot for him. And I feel like in his first couple of years, it's going to be the slot, and it's probably going to be that box safety just so they can kind of hide him and figure his coverage out in the NFL level.
So for those hanging with us here, I appreciate it because as we go deeper and deeper into this, these combo leagues get really exciting. When you get to 2.6, it's a super flex. You're looking at it. Ty Simpson seems to be the bill. You're probably going to have to get him in the early second if you want a quarterback. I put him 2.6. I see that the latest he's going. But here's where your draft is going to be made or broken. The 2.7 all the way to the 2.12 Mase, there's going to be a spot where nobody wants any of these offensive players. And because of that, this is one of those rare years where IDP is going to move up. You're going to see the great linebacker run in here. And you know what? Sleeper doesn't have them all here. So just bear with me. Guys like David Bailey, guys like Jacob Rodriguez, not on sleeper, guys like CJ Allen, guys like Jake Galladay, Jeremiah Trotter you like, Anthony Hill may go a little bit earlier, right? That's 5 guys in that window. And throw in Ruben Baines, who's getting all the love out there in the world. You're going to be seeing those IDP players coming off quick. Any thoughts in that round, Mase?
Yeah, really quick. Just let me give kudos to Sleeper for actually making defensive player profiles before the day of the draft. Honestly, I didn't even know that they were on there until today when we started doing this. So kudos to you for bringing that up, because normally they wait till afterwards, dude. Seriously. So that's awesome that they're doing that. However, like you were saying, we're in those spreadsheet leagues. We're doing mocks. We know the players. We're in the film. Like, we've seen the stats. So if you're out here relying on an app like Sleeper, and then you're going into your draft day doing that in a conjoined league, combined league, whatever you want to call it, with both sides of the ball, then you're doing yourself a disservice, man. You need to get out there, check out my guys' rankings, check out my rankings, look anywhere you can and try to get knowledge. But as far as this round goes, like you said, this is normally the round where you start to see a little bit more IDP on the back end and those linebackers, right? Those green dot guys. It's crazy that Allen's not on here because he's like my linebacker too. But yeah, I don't know. It looks pretty spot on. But even you can see Bailey, he's listed as a linebacker. He's not actually a linebacker. When I think linebacker, I'm thinking inside linebacker, right? He's more of an edge that could maybe flash out. But just looking from his tape, he's a true edge rusher.
So the third round, and I'll do this super quick. I just put a mixing pot of players that you're seeing based on ADP. You're seeing players that people remembered in college. They're seeing players that are going to be flyers. These players here, in no really numerical order, but you're going to see these guys come off your drafts in the third round. The Garrett Nussmeier, that's getting to be a thing as we approach this
Love
draft.
that guy. Love
Especially with, yeah, see what I'm saying? See, this is why this draft is
I'll turn it into an offensive podcast real fast, dude.
You're pulling QB3 in the third round. I mean, why not? The Hurst, I seen him down at Senior Bowl. He's impressive. Antonio Williams. Then we have the next best defensive backs, the Thinneman, the McNeil, Warren conversation. Lanes is always popping up in drafts. Yeah. We're talking about this edge draft being long. There's tons of guys coming up. Howell would start that at 3.7. Malik Washington fell in mine all the way 3.8. He won't fall in Mase's draft, and either will Allen at 3.9, the running back. Then we have Brazel at 3.10, Malachi Fields 3.11. And I did this on purpose because this is a player I'm not taking, the Kedrick Falk at 3.12, but some bozo in your league is going to take him. They're going to take him because they watch the NFL draft, whatever. So he'll be off the board before we even get started at 4.1, Mase. But, yeah, those guys there, I don't really have a lot of analyzation. I don't know if you do, but, yeah, those guys, this is kind of your general top 36 we're seeing in draft boards. I mentioned strategies that I have. I have 3 this year. I kind of want that late round, first round to take an IDP. I kind of want to be in that linebacker run if I need one in the middle, late second. The other strategy I'm doing is I'm trying to come up, and I told you this another one. I'm trying to get 3.1s and 4.1s. Hey, I'll give you next year's draft. People are looking at that. Oh yeah, next year's draft's better. But if you need an IDP, this next round is where it's going to strike, Mase. It's where it's going to strike. And I'm just going to start this real quick because we didn't give the audience the biggest names yet. We're talking about the 4.1 we're going into, right? And this is kind of where the podcast starts. We got guys like TJ Parker, R. Mason Thomas, Zion Young, Caleb Banks. You know, you got the great defensive back run coming up, the AJ Halseys with all the stats, the TJ Wheatleys with the low missed tackle rate, right? But there's one player at 4.1 I want more than anyone else, and I haven't said this on live air yet. 4.1, just the way the board is dropping, he's going to be an edge 5 or 6 for you in drafts. The guy's name is Akeem Mesidor. Sure, he's a little older. Sure. If you look at his production, and you see the point, this is why I want to do this podcast with you, Mase. He's just sitting there. Nobody's talking about him. If you look at his production, left and right, I mean, hell, I wrote the article over Fantasy Six Pack. Check it out, Edge Prospects. He beats Bain in most numerical categories. Now, here's a stat I never unveiled. I never revealed this on any shows yet. Akeem Mesidor, when a play goes longer than 3 seconds, it's not a true pass set, but when the quarterback goes back to pass, when the play goes longer than 3 seconds, 1, 2, 3, Akeem Mesidor leads all the college prospects in pressures and sacks. That is something that's sticky. That is something that's going to translate into the NFL, my friend. I had to get that off on live air. I know we went 15 minutes in. I had to get it in. Mase, any of those guys I mentioned, or do you have better guys in that 4.1 shadow realm?
Yeah. Well, first off, I just want to say if someone is victory lapping drafting Falk in your home league and it's a live draft, please record it and tag us. Would love to see that. That would be
That's
hilarious.
a legitimate board, though. I can see that.
No. 100% it is, man. And like you said, people see the graphics, people see the clickbait, people see the guys that are being touted. Now, I'm not saying he's not going to be like maybe a 3 tech. He might twist out and get some edge rushes, right? Like schemes are evolving every year, blah, blah, blah. But if he's coming into the league, he's more so going to be an inside guy. So knowing the difference in between the two, like, for instance, Bailey up there, he's the, 2.7? He is actually an edge, but it says linebacker. So if you know your stuff, then you know what value you're getting. So maybe even a player might not be worth it if he doesn't get that edge thing because you can get a guy that could be a linebacker. But I digress. I want to talk about a guy that I actually thought that you were going to talk about. Almost gave me a heart attack, but you didn't. So thank you for that. Malachi Lawrence.
Yes.
He is a first-round actual NFL draft pick. Don't forget it. Don't let anyone disrespect this guy because of his age. He has long arms. He knows how to use them. He has an amazing and actual pass rush plan. Dude, I'm trying to count his pass rush moves. He's got like a Batman gadget belt of moves because I can't even track all of the stuff that he's trying to do. He's making stuff up as he goes, combining things. He's nitty and gritty, and he's doing what he has to do. Now, he does have inconsistencies in the run defense, but I feel like with a good coaching staff and scheme, probably a good rotation, after the first year, I think he could blossom. And honestly, I think he has the best potential of any edge player in this class. His biggest knock I think I have on him right now, though, aside from the rushing defense, is just he's just not very consistent. So if he can get, like I said, to a coaching staff, I think he could be the edge one of the class. Honestly, I think he is the edge one of the class.
Let's stay on him a minute. And the reason I didn't do it is because you were one of the first guys to get on him. I seen the tape after the Shrine Bowl. I know I'm a Senior Bowl scout down in Alabama. You're a Shrine Bowl scout.
Yes, sir.
Out in Texas. I seen it afterwards, and he's throwing guys twice his size around like rag dolls. And you were talking about him hot when we were doing our IDP drafts. You're talking about first round. I'm like, dude, I think you can get a third round grade on this guy. People don't know, but he's right up there. And yeah, I would have talked him, but I wanted to get the Akeem Mesidor stats out there, and I know you were going towards him. But there are so many players in this run. Like this right now, honestly, the 4th round is where I would get my edge rushers. We'll start there, Mase. We'll start there. We're not going to do the rest of the board because, it can go anyway in your drafts. But in the 4th round, we'll start with edge rushers here. 4th, 5th, 6th, whatever. Who do you have? Who do you like in this round?
Yeah, so you already put out a little bit of smoke on R. Mason Thomas. So I'm just going to go ahead and caveat off that. Okay. Edge in a hybrid front, he can go out to you a little bit, play some coverage. He's a consistent pressure producer. He's got an explosive first step. He's just one of those guys where you look, a lot of the guys in this class, and not just him, but you'll notice that they have the explosive speed off the ball and the handwork, and you're like, dude, these guys look like NFL players. Not a lot of these guys look like your Jared Verse or like your Brian Burns, or where you just look at this guy and you're like, this guy's going to freaking take over the league, like immediately, So I think he's someone that could eventually develop. I write for Bucks Wire for USA Today, and there are a lot of mock drafts, dude, that I've had to write about in reference to R. Mason Thomas. And honestly, if he went to the Bucks in the 2nd round, I would not be mad at that because they really need edge help. So the only thing is just some of the missed tackles and unable to be finish on plays, but he is extremely productive.
So I'm going to talk. I got 5 players in here. I got 5 players that I like because this is where I think the true edge run happens. I know you're going to get the players that people think. The TJ. We said the Mesidors. We said the Baines. but there's a great back end of players. I'm going to start with Gabe Akis. They call him Akis, that's his name, but it's spelled with a J. So that throws me off everywhere you go. So if you hear me saying Gabe Jackus, it's just a mistake because I don't know how to read right, I guess, right? But this guy here is a former wrestler. I hate saying Gabe Akis, Mase, because when I do, people go in their darn drafts and they're trying to search for ACAS, and they're not finding anybody. But he didn't run his 40, which I'm okay with because he's 6'3", 260. I know his game is bull rush, Mase. I've wrote about him. I've seen him in person. A 20% pass rush win rate on a guy no one's talking about. An 8.2 run stop grade as a defender. He's going to be a 3-down player next level for me. There's a tier of guys that you're going to get to pick. Guys like Sutton, Joseph, Trey Moore. I'm not the biggest Romeo Height fan out there. I know some people are. It just didn't measure up in person for me. But those are players that I'm looking at. Joshua Joseph out of Tennessee, for example. He's one of those wide 9 players, 34-inch arms, 82-inch wingspan. He's like a little monster on the field, but he's got a tinier frame. So think of like a Will McDonald. I just want to see how that translates next level. But again, there's so many guys in here. Derek Moore, I go back and forth with, but he's right there with the arm length competition. He's got the 34-inch pythons like Hulk Hogan in WWF, right? Senior Bowl, he just killed it. There's great tape. I forget which tape, but it went viral when he bull rushed a 6'9" tackle during the Senior Bowl. He was just destroying people. And this is the stat I like to pull when I'm talking Derek Moore. 33.3% pass rush win rate. I mean, that's unheard of. You know what I mean? So, yeah, there's a ton of guys. And then, I mentioned earlier to Zion Young, who actually won the darn Senior Bowl award. There's so many guys. Hell, TJ Parker, I skipped over him, but we talked him earlier, right? TJ Parker, if he came out 2 years ago, he would have been the top prospect. He would have, but he didn't. He went back to school, had a bad year, whatever. He kind of floated around. But yeah, this edge class is sweeter than Yahoo, to quote the movie Kingpin. It's sweeter than Yahoo. Do you have any other guys that you're looking at specifically on edge? Or if you want, we can move on to defensive tackle.
Yeah, really quick. I know you're not a fan of him, but Romello Height at Texas Tech. Just in that dog role, if you got guys that are on the outside in that OLB role, I feel like maybe like the Ravens, something like that in the past, he might work out there. Maybe even on like the Chargers or something. Mason Rieger, Wisconsin, probably like 5th to 7th round pick. He's got a lot of high pressure, love his violent hands, explosive get off. The finishing ability, though, and he just has average strength. I think he's a little bit undersized, so I don't know how that's going to work out. But and then someone who's near and dear to my heart, probably yours as well, Landon Robinson, Navy. Got a shout out to Armed Forces guy. Former linebacker. He can maybe be that tweener inside, outside. They'll find a place for him, special teams dandy, get on the field. He's a former LB, so he knows how to pursue. He's going to be active out there trying to get a contract. So looking forward to seeing what Landon Robinson does as well. That's all I have for the edge right now.
So defensive tackle, not everybody plays in these leagues, so I'm going to kind of skip over them. I'm going to give you one player. This draft for defensive tackle, the landscape, historically, they're really good at stopping the run, which is great. Last year's class was better pass rushing than stopping the run. Some of those guys are still trying to get on the field. If you can stop the run, you're going to get on the field. This draft class, you got a lot of zero techniques. You got a lot of guys that are interior that can stop the run, which is really good and may not translate to IDP. So just keep that in mind. The top players at defensive tackle, if you play in those leagues, the Peter Woodses, the Caleb Banks, the Lee Hunters, which people adore, right? Caden McDaniel's a top name, right? These guys are top. Christian Miller's another one. These guys are players. If I'm on MFL and I need a guy to Dominic Gord, right? These are all great players. You can go down this whole list. There's only one sleeper. Again, if you're in a defensive tackle league, if you're in the leagues that we play on sleeper, you probably don't want to do this. Defensive tackle Grayson Halton. I seen him in person. at the Senior Bowl. He paid off in dividends at the combine. He ran a 4.83 40-yard dash, 36.5 vertigo. 6'3", 293 pounds. I don't know where these freak genes are coming from, but the cool stats on him are the PFF and the pressures. He had 29 pressures last season and around 30 in 2024. He's putting up these great stats. And Mase, I'll just leave you on this because I don't want to kill the podcast on defensive tackles. 77.7 overall PFF grade. 8.6 pass rush grade from a defensive tackle. 7.6 run stop grade. He's going to be a player, if there's anyone with a landing spot and it hits right, he's going to be one of those guys, goal line presence, intimidating snaps. I think like a team like the Cowboys that already have an established Quentin Williams type, this guy can actually explore that, and he's going to go later in drafts. So that's all I have for defensive tackle. I don't know if you have anybody. You won't offend me if you don't. But any thoughts there, buddy?
I have not even a defensive tackle. I have an alibi. Sorry, I don't know if you saw I was kind of shuffling while we were talking there. I was looking up my all Shrine Bowl team because, you're talking about that. I need to revisit the tape, something I normally do right before the draft. There is a guy, Aidan Hubbard, out of Northwestern. He was my all Shrine team edge. He had 42 pressures. He had 31 pressures, 8 sacks for the Wildcats last year. Not a very well-known name. He's a guy to watch anywhere from the 5th round to undrafted free agent. If he gets on a team, he's going to be a problem. He has really good hands. He's a really active learner. You can tell he's all about the business. I feel like he's going to find his way onto a roster.
All of those guys there, every single one can hit a 4th, 5th round pick well spent. What do you want to do next? I'll let you lead the category. What position you want to do next?
I'll just slide over to linebacker if you don't mind.
Let's do it. Go ahead. Lead the way, my friend. Who you got?
I mean, it wouldn't be me if I wasn't talking about Aidan Fisher, the most disrespected linebacker in this class. Indiana, dude won a championship, and they got a 5th round grade on my guy. Back-to-back All-American. We're talking about a green dot in a time where multiple teams are out there looking with binos for a green dot linebacker. He's consistent at tackling. He can lead a defense because they just won a championship. I mean, you can talk about the offense all you want, but there's two sides to everything, right? Processing is good. He has range. The only concerns I've really honestly seen are just like his size. He can be too over-aggressive like guys. That's coachable. And then he has limitations in coverage. He's not athletic enough. Blah, blah, blah. I think the tape is real with this guy. I don't know if you give him the keys like tomorrow, if he could steer the ship. But I feel like if you put him behind a guy like, I don't know, like a Fred Warner, or if you put him in a room with someone like a Blake Cashman, maybe you could have a bridge guy and kind of end up leading into him being more effective in like year 2, year 3.
Okay, gotcha. I'm going to read a couple names to you here. And I don't know if you want to explore some of these names. When I think of Aidan Fisher, I'm thinking, sure, late round prospect, what have you. I got him in the same tier as a guy named Red Murdock. He's out of Buffalo. That's like one of those tackle-producing universities. I'm not expecting much right now. I can see a 2-down player, former teammate with Sean Dolick. But, yeah, this guy had 215 tackles in 3 seasons. Fisher's game's a lot different. Fisher's game, he had 323 tackles in 3 seasons. But you see my point? These guys are tackling monsters. You can insert them in day 1, day 2. Another name that I wasn't really big on in the evaluation process, Justin Jefferson. I was like, okay, he's kind of average, kind of hems and haws. He went to the combine and just destroyed it. He ran a 4.5. He was spotted with a lot of people. He got a lot of people in their top 10s. So Justin Jefferson's going to be a guy that goes late on your draft day. Bryce Boettcher, I'll let you talk him in a second because he's very cerebral. I met him down at Senior Bowl. There's a kid named York. York is a linebacker that has top 3 analytical stats pretty much across the board. He's just incredibly small. I don't know if a team, a landing spot, like the name of this podcast, the something like that can kind of like scheme him. I don't know. The position's getting smaller as we speak. I got 2 more here. You heard me talk about Barham on another podcast. You heard me talk about it. He's technically a defensive lineman, but if he plays linebacker or has that dual eligibility, all his stats, and I'm not going to waste the time here because I did on the other one, he would be a top 10 linebacker fundamentally. And there's one more player. His name is Lawson. You probably don't know who this is, but he slips because of injuries. Lawson is one of those guys that, like, during the actual season and during this process, it's like night and day. He projects as a 4.3 box linebacker, 89.1% run defense grade, impressive sack totals. I think he had 4 in 2025. He has the ability to cover, 7.1 missed tackle rate. Again, he's just been hurt so many times. He's one of my true sleepers. So if anybody can break this category, it'd probably be Barham, Lawson. I'll throw a couple deep shots. Actually, you know what? I'm going to kick it back to you real quick, and then we'll talk some deep shot linebackers. Any thoughts in there, Mase?
Yeah, I like the Red Murdock call out of Buffalo. That's pretty nice. You got some splash play upside there, elite production. You tilted the hat to me to Bryce Boettcher.
There you go.
Is that just so I could butcher his last name?
I don't know.
Is it Boettcher?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I guess I need to get more confident with these guys' names here. Green Dot. That's my favorite kind of linebacker because they're going to be on the field. Led the Big Ten in tackles. He was also drafted to the Houston Astros. Not a lot of players these days are multi-sport athletes, and it's kind of nice to see that still going on there, especially with a linebacker. It's not a quarterback or, a running back, wide receiver, or nothing like that. So that's kind of cool to see there. Let's see. Okay, this guy isn't, I don't know, if you're talking to me or Steve, this guy is definitely already a household name. Josiah Trotter, Missouri. I don't know if he was on the list previously that you would put up, but
yeah. He goes in the linebacker run. He's going to go super early.
He will. After
top 5 to 10. Yeah.
I just wanted to find a reason to talk about him because I love him as a prospect. And honestly, if you're in a lot of just normally based leagues, he's not like a green dot guy, so not a lot of people know about him. And he didn't do a lot of the combine, so he doesn't have a lot of hype, blah, blah, blah. But the only problem I have with Josiah Trotter is his ability to cover people. But I don't know, maybe that scheme base, if you put him in zone, he might be fine. But yeah. The other Alabama linebacker, Deonte Lawson, I know he had a top 30 visit with the Niners. He's supposed to be like 5th, 6th, 7th round there.
Yes, dude.
Yeah, he's not like the most elite athlete, but that leadership is there. Processing. He, what was that linebacker they had years ago? Was it Moses, who ended up having injuries and then ended up not doing a lot? I might not be the right guy. Anyways, I'm hoping he lands somewhere. He's a really smart player, and I think if he gets on the field and he can show that he is durable, then he'll be fine. Let's see. Eric Gentry out of USC.
There he is. My man. Go ahead.
Yeah. Rare length. It's just the strength isn't there. But, if you get him in an NFL weight room a couple years, you got a taxi squad. That's a guy that I think you could end up panning out with. And then, okay, I'm going to end it like I did last time. One more Armed Forces cat. Kaleb Fortner, team captain, Mike linebacker for the Black Knights. He's under the radar because obviously his school and the competition he was going up against and the athletic ceiling. But, maybe he gets on special teams somewhere. But just wanted to give him a shout because the Army Black Knights are unfortunately my favorite college football team.
So Mase kind of let it out of the bag. We those are so many linebackers that aren't name brand yet. And, he mentioned Bryce Boettcher because he got drafted by the Houston Astros, but he made himself eligible for the NFL. I seen him down at the Senior Bowl. He is very cerebral. Like, that's how he defines his game. He told me that. He gave me an interview. He looks like a green dot. He's a poor man's green dot. He's going to get on the field and be very interesting after all these top players. You know how I feel about a couple of these guys on here. I'm going to go deeper. Let's say you have a 7th round draft, 6th round draft, that sort of thing. There's some flyers out there at the linebacker position. Because I don't know about you, Mase. I will murder this position with the hope of getting prospects. You already mentioned one of my deeper flyers. I have Eric Gentry as a deep flyer. Why? You mentioned the size. He's 6'7", folks. 220 pounds. He's kind of too thin to play edge. He might be too small to play 20 years ago, it'd be too small to play linebacker. He's probably going to play somewhere in the middle. So he actually did pretty good at the NFL. He's rangy. He's a plugger style linebacker. If you guys want to know what a plugger linebacker is, just leave it in the comments. I'll explain it. But yeah, he can do some good things. A little bit undersized, like I said. Same thing with York that I said earlier. I think these undersized players will translate if they get the landing spot. I got two more guys here. Mase, Jimmy Rolder, right? Jimmy Rolder, very versatile depth kind of player. He's probably on the back end when the top 50 linebackers go off the board. So just a name people need to pay attention to. He had some pretty good stats. 6'2", 240 pounds, Jimmy Rolder. And then I'm going to throw one more, and then we'll go to our final categories here. Kendal Daniels. Depending what kind of room you're in, I'm seeing him go in the 4th. I'm seeing him go in the 6th. The reason why Kendal Daniels is either getting love or he's not getting love is because people don't know what he's going to be. He can be a big nickel. He can be a linebacker. He can be a safety hybrid prospect. He's got high upside as like a chess piece player, 6'5", 242. He's got that strong build already. We don't have to worry about putting weight on him or him getting, whatever. He's physical. He's a downhill striker with the run support, He's got the instincts in coverage too. So that's going to be a guy that people are going to be looking at next level. And I think out of all these deeper guys, I think a landing spot for him is going to do him damn well. Any thoughts, Mase?
Yeah, I want to comment about Jimmy Rolder real quick. Downhill running efficiently. Just with a lot of these linebackers coming out, we've seen the last couple of years, if you could head downhill with the hill of steam, that's really nice. But they really want guys that can cover and do both. So I'm going to be looking forward to seeing if he can make the adjustment at the next level.
Hey, so before we go to this last category, because we're making a lot of time, and for those taking notes, good for you. This is a podcast we don't mess around with. We go right to the players. We cut back and forth, but we're 36 minutes deep. We probably gave you 100 damn names. And I went through the first 3 rounds. So God bless you if you play in these leagues. Your cornerback landscape this year, I don't care because I've heard a lot of jackassery content out there. It is a good class. There's a lot of 5-star recruits. I've heard different things back and forth. You're going to hear names like, and I can't pronounce them, so I'm not going to try, Mansard Delane, Avion Terrell, Jermichael McCoy, Colton Hood is in that first-round conversation these days, just to what he did at Senior Bowl. Chris Johnson. You're going to hear a lot of names, the Keith Abneys, right? But in IDP, this stuff doesn't always translate. So I'm going to shock the nation right now. I think I have the next slot corner. I did this last year. To your 49ers guy, right? I think I'm going to do it again. This kid never played slot corner in his life, but I think he's going to convert. I know I'm taking a deep shot here. I think he's going to convert to the next level because he doesn't have much of a choice. There's a player, the only cornerback I'm going to talk about today, out of Indiana. His name is D'Angelo Pons, okay? He rarely plays slot, so this is a leap of faith, okay? He is, if you look at his numbers and analytics, if he was a little bit taller, he'd be the top cornerback in his class.
Yes, sir.
He isn't. He's undersized. He's 5'9", making him the ultimate slot dog. I think he's going to have to translate over into the NFL. Slot corners are generally smaller. We know this. The outside guys are generally bigger. I could be way off on this, but for middle of the pack, late round player, if you've got to start a DB, there's more agile slot receivers in the NFL that excel in the sharp cuts, whatever. Pons can be a steal for you. Again, he doesn't play a lot of slot, but here's where I'm going to counter for people that are probably going to drag this take. He played a lot of box. He played 95 snaps in the box. So if I'm wrong about my slot take, you're probably going to get him as a box. But that's a free, cheap player that nobody's talking about. You got a 7th-round pick, spend it here. To my point earlier, people are trying to trade out of this draft. I'm trying to trade back in. But I had to get my cornerback take. So I'll kick it back to you, Mase. Do you have a corner? And if you don't, just go ahead and start the safety wave. Who you got? What are you thinking?
No, I mean, that's perfect analysis. I love Pons as a prospect there. Like you said, he's slightly undersized, but if you put him in slot, he can be aggressive. He's got a little zing to his play. He's one of those uppity players that I think really prides himself on being about that action. So love that call. There's actually a safety who I think that will eventually end up making the switch over to slot cornerback. Bud Clark, I talked about him a little bit out of TCU. I think he's more of like a deeper guy than not, but he can also kind of slant the box and come inside and maybe not light someone up, but he'll bring a ball carrier down. Also, Zakee Wheatley is another guy who I think he was on an island a lot out there at PSU, Penn State, and I think he's a guy that could be rotated in. He's not like the biggest guy in the world, so he's not going to come and set the tone there in the box, but he's not afraid to go and light it up, and he actually really takes good angles there. So, like both those guys. Also wanted to shout out the guy whose name I'm going to butcher. You know him pretty well, I think, as well. Cole Wisniewski.
Yeah, Wisniewski. Yeah.
Wisniewski. Okay.
A lot of those names in the NFL. Put a Raiders uniform on him while you're at it. Yeah.
Sheesh, dude. Honestly, he he could be. He's tenacious, but I feel like he's going to be one of those guys that's in that Emanuari role to where, I mean, he's not athletically gifted like Emanuari or anything like that, but you don't want him out there on an island by himself. He doesn't have the lateral range or movement to be able to adjust to just like a cover one being the back end guy. However, if you have him in that like Harrison Smith role where he's coming downhill, recognizing maybe going out to the flats in case, or if you got him specifically on a tight end or maybe not an athletic slot guy, but that tight end 2 or whatever, he's a player where he's smart enough, and I think he was on a good enough defense. He's had that time to where he actually might be good on defense.
So I want to talk about something real quick because you said something smart. Right now, the defensive back class, I can go 16 deep, and I love these prospects. I have Bud Clark insanely higher than the consensus. Here's a stat for the audience. If you were to type in players that have more than 1.75 pass breakup rate, you can type in players that have more than a 1.5 interception rate, and you can type in less than 15% missed tackle rate. Okay? There's only 5 prospects we've seen in the last decade that have that ability. Bud Clark is one of them. Kyle Hamilton's another one. Woo! Xavier Watts is another one. Talonio Hufanga is one of them. And there's another rookie in this draft class that nobody is talking about is also one of them. The guy's name is Bishop Fitzgerald. If you're a stats guy, yeah, that's a deep cut. If you're a stats guy, you can probably get this guy way later. He could make a case for a top 10 safety because we all know, I said it earlier, we all know who the top 5 or 6 are, right? You got the Downs, you got the Warren, you got the Thineman, you got the Halsey and the Wheatley. Those are your 5. These guys here, they all fit how they're going to fit. But this guy can kind of fall in that top 10 safety category. If there's anybody I'm thinking of a landing spot that can help, it would be Bishop Fitzgerald. And like I said, you mentioned Clark. I don't see Clark as like a deep cut. Some people do. So you're not wrong in that analysis, but I kind of would jump up early if I do that. A name that deserves to be Genesis Smith. You'll hear about him. He's a great talent. Just can't tackle. People like Ramsey, Kamari, I really don't. You nailed it perfectly with Wheatley. He's just a pretty good player all around. The Keon Sabs of the world, the Jalen Huskies of the world, the Jalen Kilgore should probably go super late. His Rozzy score was a 9.97 out of a perfect 10. He's a guy, Kilgore, that's just going to be sitting there in drafts. We've talked so many defensive backs already. DJ Payne had a good combine. Robert Spears Jennings, remember that name. Robert Spears Jennings. This is a late round, 7th round.
Sounds like a country singer.
It really does, don't it? He ran a 4.32 down at the combine. That was the second fastest DB time. 1.51 10-yard split. I look at that for this position. Finished 3rd. His jumps were strong too. 35-inch vertigo, 125 broad. I didn't rank those. But his testing showed that he can hang in those serious group drills and, give him the right landing spot. Another one, Robert Spears Jennings, he's a late round, day 3 projection. Terry Moore was a guy out of Duke people liked, and he got injured. You can go so deep in this class and not lose a beat. And I only mentioned one corner. There's a super, super deep cut, and I'm trying to see if you hit it. And
the safety? I got 2 more guys.
Go ahead.
I think I have two more. I might have more than that. All right, real quick. Deshaun Singleton out of Nebraska, going to be a back end. He's a rover guy. He's a box guy, though. He might be that outside linebacker, tweener. There's not been a lot of places for guys like that. So, like, this whole Sonny Styles thing is really like a Reese. Those are really intriguing to me because of the role, you know? And then, honestly, like, you're going to have to pay up for those guys. But I digress. We're talking about deep sleeper guys here. Deshaun Singleton, the box usage is really what I'm looking for. So, if he does get on the field, it's going to be in that capacity. And that's something that we like. Julian Neal, you said you weren't going to talk about corners. Just going to throw him out there. He's 6'2", and he can tackle. He's got ball skills. It's just his technique. And then, like, if he gets toasted, he gets McToasted. His recovery speed is kind of questionable there. Okay, so one more guy who I'm going to talk about, and it's more of like myself making a narrative. You know, you wake up in the middle of the night, you got sweats. You're like, wait, what if this guy goes and, like, this happens? Or what if this guy really isn't that good? Well, let's live in a world where Kaleb Downs was actually helped by the guy next to him. Okay? I'm talking about Lorenzo Styles Jr., the one-hit wonder out of Ohio State.
Talk about, my friend.
It doesn't matter if he's doing just straight defensive snaps. We're talking coverage snaps. Not that many tackles. The stats aren't always there. He's okay in run defense. He's okay in coverage. But he's going to be a guy that you see go day 3. We're talking around 5 to 7. And if he lands eventually, then, you know, he might be a guy that sticks. But he's on a really good defense. So he's seen kind of the nature, right? Like, you want a guy that has the easiest adjustment possible at that next level. If you're going to OSU or a top 5 conference school, then you already know the deal. Like, you're there to win, you're there to produce, or else you're gone. That's just how it goes. So maybe the pedigree might be there with him.
You know, that's what I was thinking. I was going to say it for you because you're one of the first guys to talk Lorenzo Styles. Because I was like, all right, maybe he just had a great combine. I'm like, well, wait a second. You know, he's got that pedigree. He could probably put something, again, a landing spot would be great for this guy. We got to see if he makes the team. But, I had him as the ultimate deep flyer. I had him at DB21 at some point this process. But, yeah, if there's anybody who can make a team, again, we just went 7 rounds of offense in IDP leagues, not even trying. You know what I mean? You got more guys. What you got, buddy?
Just something for the viewers here. For everyone that's still here, thank you for staying here. And maybe you – in the beginning, if you were like, oh, I'm going to leave this because who the hell cares about guys this deep? Really quick, since 2010, did a little bit of research here for Fantasy Relevance. We're talking 2012, round 3, Demario Davis. 2018, round 6, the tackle king, Alukin. Blake Martinez, leave a bad taste in people's mouth. He was good at one time, and he went in round 4. Nick Bolton was a 2nd round. Kaiser White had some years in the 4th. Zaire Franklin was a 7th round pick. And people are still talking about him back in 2018. Kevin Byard, John Johnson, round 3. Jordan Poyer was a 7th round pick. If you think that guys in these rounds aren't going to make it, I will say 8 out of 10 times you're probably right. But if you want to win your league, you better be one of the guys that's looking at that 20% percentage on the back end to try to get more stuff for your team and league. If you put in the work, it's going to show on draft day. You're going to be more confident. You're going to feel better. You're going to see the landing spots, and it's just going to be poetry in motion for you. So the examples are there. Thanks for staying locked in with us.
Heck yeah, and these are fun because you kind of want to, like you always say, move like water. You kind of want to see how your leagues turn out. Hey, I don't have anything else this podcast. I'll tell you what, I got hacked in the offseason. It's hard to keep a good man down. My followers are coming back. Thank you so much. The Twitter's looking good. Almost as good as the old account. But if you guys don't have me, follow me on the RealIDPHunter. You don't know how much of a nightmare that is trying to rebrand. The real thing's still throwing me off. Okay? I'm over at the Fantasy 6-Pack where I did 205 rookie profiles. I'll be writing their ranking or season. I'm also on Fantasy Frames with this handsome gentleman. I'm over on the IDP Center. And this is one of my newer projects here. There's a platform called Roster IQ. If you guys like dynasty trades, if you guys like, I don't know, let me look at my team in the offseason. Let's see what holds up. The offense is already on point. The defense, we're still kind of a work in progress. But again, it's a fun, neat tool. If you type in the promo code RealIDPHunter, it's free right now for the first month anyway. But yeah, if you guys want to check that out, go ahead. There's rankings in there. He's one of my league mates. He's a good friend of mine. Constantly building this. So again, we want to raise the elevator down and bring up some of these great content creators in our community, make our industry better. But yeah, that's the promo code right now. If you want to check out his stuff, RealIDPHunter. And like I said, you'll get to try that for the first month. Mase, what are you working on, and where could the audience find you?
Yeah, right now I'm just prepping for the draft. I think I have a lot of the profiles done over at Buckswire USA Today. So just kind of writing articles based on whatever the GM says for the Bucks.
I'm not doing anything. I'm going to put on some records. I'm going to record this. I'm going to have a draft. I'm not doing anything. I know content creators work all year round. I'm taking a break after this one, and I'm coming back hard after the NFL draft with some great content. What are you going to be doing? What are you going to be up to?
I'm going to take over your channel, bro, and I'm going to be putting out we're talking rosters. I'm looking at salary cap. I got a lot of videos. I got a lot more free time coming around this year. It's going to be like new age, new wave of Mase, I feel like, coming of age. So, yeah, no, big year, big things. I know people always say that, but kind of just getting on track. As Primus says, life along the sea of cheese, you never really know what's going to happen. But
deep
happy to be back on the boat, and in charge of my own sea. Buccaneer reference there as well. Niner fan at heart. But, yeah, no, I'll probably just be blessing your page with some videos while you're out.
Heck yeah, do that. I have nothing else that I need to say. I have nothing else. I mean, we grinded 50 top DB dynasty linebackers. I did a best ball video a couple weeks ago. I did a rookie. I don't have anything else to say. I need new content. So until then, fellas, talk hard, everybody. Have a good draft. Have a good league, and enjoy this fantasy football season. Take care.